I would just say whatever that one activity is, it could be hiking or playing tennis or swimming or working out with minimal equipment or body weight in your garage or living room. It doesn't really matter what it is. Do it regularly. Do it consistently. Try to do it daily if you can. Only the most advanced or extreme people are at risk of overtraining or overdoing it. Most of us are way underperforming.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire.
Welcome to the Profit by Design podcast. And as we kick off today, I want to share with you that we at Tap the Potential are doing something special to support you in your hiring efforts. We know that 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs have no system to attract A players to your team. And we also know that hiring is one of your biggest challenges. So many of you are experiencing hiring PTSD. You've been burned by bad employees and bad hires in the past. Your team is growing. You're at capacity and you know you need to hire, but maybe you've been putting it off, or you just even have come to doubt your ability to get A players on your team. And I want to assure you, you absolutely can have A players on your team. So mark your calendar for our upcoming free workshop, Unlocking Profit Potential, the Power of A Players and How to Attract Them for 10x Growth. Get registered at tapthepotential.com/workshop. This is coming up on November 16th. Get it on your calendar and join us live during the workshop so we can support you in attracting those A players to your business. So now I want to dive into our topic for today because I know how demanding entrepreneurship is, and we can get so consumed in all the things that we're trying to accomplish in our businesses, and we will neglect our health. We'll stop eating properly. We won't sleep well, and it's just a downward spiral. And in my research with entrepreneurs, I've discovered that when we ask you about your health and well-being, 1 out of 2 of you is telling us that in the last 3 days, you've neglected basic needs such as sleep, healthy eating, and exercise due to the demands of the business. And as entrepreneurs, we are at increased risk for health issues like obesity, cardiovascular disease because of our work-related stress and an intense lifestyle. So as a psychologist by training, I know that our physical health ties right into our mental health and effectiveness. But beyond all of that, in my own personal journey, exercise has played a significant role in my ability to manage stress and sleep well during highly stressful times in the business. And as a matter of fact, when I was writing the book, The 4-Week Vacation, and I was studying entrepreneurial burnout, one of the sources I came across suggested just switching the time that we work out from the morning to the end of the day would make a big impact. And I thought, oh, I'd never thought about that. But as I did it and tried it out, it made complete sense because what I realized is that throughout my day, stress was happening and I was having stress responses, but I was just moving from one thing to the next. So I could never fully resolve those stress responses. So when I shifted my workout to the end of the day, I was able to release all that pent up energy and stress response and go home in the evening and be relaxed and present with my family and sleep like a baby at night. It made such a huge difference. And so I know firsthand how important exercise is. And that's why I'm really excited to bring on a special guest today, Men Over 40 health expert, Chris Wilson. Chris, welcome to the Profit by Design podcast.
It's wonderful to be here. Thank you so much, Dr. Sabrina.
Yeah. So I want to share with our audience your background so they understand what all you can bring here into the conversation. So Chris is a lifelong fitness and health advocate with nearly 25 years of experience in the fitness industry. He's worked alongside and learned from leaders in the industry such as Charles Poliquin, mentor and friend Ben Prentice, 3-time world champion powerlifter Lloyd Weinstein, 4 times Mr. Olympia Jay Cutler, IFBB pros Darren Charles, Ben Pakulski, John Hansen, Big Aaron Reed, and his lifelong friend and owner of Critical Bench, Mike Westerdahl. Chris oversees the Strong by Design podcast show. Yes, you heard that right. His podcast is Strong by Design, and that's actually how we connected. We met at Podcast Movement. He was wearing a big Strong by Design podcast t-shirt, and I looked over at Caitlin on our team, and I said, his podcast is Strong by Design. We're Profit by Design. We need to go talk to him. We probably have something in common. And sure enough, we have a lot of common interests here. So the Strong by Design podcast show, as well as the Critical Bench YouTube channels, have over 1 million subscribers and 4,000 videos. There's tons of resources there. Chris resides in Clearwater, Florida with his wife of 17 years, Samantha, and his beautiful children, Kellan and Camryn. His passions outside of work: he loves the Lord, college and pro football, coaching youth baseball, dogs and cats, traveling with his family, family game time and movie night, as well as listening to podcasts, audiobooks, and loud music while driving to work. Chris, you and I have that in common too. It's a great way to relieve some stress.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, Chris, how did you come into this field for yourself? What led you here?
Yeah, I was the youngest of 3 boys, and I, like a lot of younger siblings, wanted to be just like my big brothers, and they were wonderful. And I've mentioned this on past podcasts on our show and when interviewed on other podcasts, and just how fortunate and blessed I was as a little brother, just to have 2 great big brothers they were identical twins. And so it was like I had superhero brothers, right, that looked the same, and no one could tell them apart, but I always could. And it was wonderful. They were always participating in sports, very athletic. I was born in the middle 70s and grew up in the 80s. 80s were kind of like my, from 5 to 15 kind of age range there. And so those are my most formative years as a kid, and just was into all sports and love competition and love, the thrill of victory. Like, was it Lombardi? I think said Vince Lombardi, the thrill of victory and the misery of defeat, or whatever. It's kind of like I'm a very passionate type person, and people immediately know what I'm feeling and thinking. That goes for work. That goes for coaching youth sports. I don't hold back. I don't bottle things up. And so from a young age, I've always had that drive and passion and enthusiasm for competition and sport. And that just carried with me all through high school and college, and just wonderful friendships, lifelong friendships that I made through sports. In fact, it's not really an annual trip, but we've done 2 of these trips in the last 4 years with myself and 5 of my best friends from high school, where we get together in we did one in Florida and one in Texas. And it's 6 of us that played football together and just are great friends for 30, at this point, it's like almost 35 years. And so it's you make those bonds and those connections, and they don't break, or at least you hope they don't. And so it's been wonderful. But you use those same team, that mentality to sport applies to how we pursue lots of things, even in our professional careers. So I think there's so much to learn from sports and competition, and individual and team sports, for kids to really work at something and be disciplined in something, and to work hard at it, and to know sometimes you don't always win, and how to lose like a champ and how to win like a champ. So those things get me fired up.
Yeah, that really resonates. Both of my daughters are involved in competitions. One's on swim, one does horseback riding. And one of the things that has really stood out to me, especially my older daughter who's entered competitions, kind of late behind the curve because of COVID. She had to sit out for a few years. So she's a little bit behind and coming in ninth place, for example, and having to go, okay, well, what did I learn from that? And how am I going to do better? And who came in first place? And what can I learn from watching them? And, that just ties right into life. And especially for us entrepreneurs, because we're dealing with failure all the time and not getting the results we want. And so do we just give up and say, hey, oh, well, or do we say, well, what did I learn? And how am I going to do it better next time?
That's right. We have a quote in our break room. Well, if it's kind of becoming less of our break room and more of a new office space for new hires, because we're in the process of growing our team and we're busting at the seams in our office building here. But it's a quote from Winston Churchill, and it says that success is the ability to go from failure to failure without loss of enthusiasm. And I mean, just soak that up for a little while, because I mean, if more people could do, look at the greatest in the history of whatever sport you're thinking of. I mean, they've failed more than they've succeeded, but what do we focus on, right? We focus on the victories and the championships, but it took a lot of pain and suffering and grind to get to those points. But, it's what grows us. The challenges and the struggle is really where all the wisdom comes from.
Absolutely. And, here on the Profit by Design podcast, we love sharing the real life story of entrepreneurship, because there's one failure after another. And in the media, we see successful entrepreneurs and we think they must know something. There's something magical there. But I've heard almost every successful entrepreneur that I've ever interviewed has never been an overnight success. There's a string of failures and setbacks and challenges behind all of us, and learning from that. So, as we dive in, let's just talk a little bit about what are you seeing that when we're talking about health, and especially men over 40, but this applies to women over 42. What are the things that we need to be aware of?
It's really the basics. A really nasty thing happens, I think, as young adults. When we get into our 20s, early, mid, late 20s, let's say, we start sitting a lot more in our lives and not moving as much. Just physical movement throughout our day, from the moment you wake to the moment you go to bed, let's put it that way. We're seated. We're 10, 15 hours probably a day of being in a seated position. Now, there are, of course, jobs out there where you're up on your feet all day, but the body's a pretty amazing machine and it adapts to things. So it becomes, if it's an everyday thing, I used to have this conversation with my mom when she was in the restaurant business for many, many years, and she was on her feet all day, moving and doing this. And she would say something to the effect of, I don't need to exercise. I exercise all day long. I said, well, it's different, Mom. I said, your body's used to your everyday needs of just kind of moving around, running around with trays and catering to people's needs like that. I said, you need dedicated time to do resistance training or cardiovascular training or a combination of the two that goes beyond what your day-to-day capacity is. The body needs to be pushed. And so it very quickly kind of gets used to whatever is like normal or, regular, right? And your body's always looking for getting to like homeostasis. And so you have to go beyond what that is. And for a lot of people, like you said, especially men over 40, women are typically a little bit more active and a little bit more concerned about their health. Men can be more stubborn and be like, I'm fine. That's for kids, whatever. But no, I mean, movement and activity, physical activity is for everybody forever. It should never be stopped. And I think when we shut that off from ourselves or shut that down, prevent ourselves from playing in the gym, so to speak, or playing with our kids, or not making time for, participating in a league of some kind, whether that's a bowling league or tennis or, softball, co-ed with your wife or anything like that, you are really doing yourself a disservice, because it is an outlet. And we are just better when we're moving. And that's been proven in research. I mean, you talk to all these amazing biohackers and stuff who know the stats and the figures. When you're up and walking and moving, you're just cognitively better and it produces more energy for you. And as opposed to just sitting static or stationary. But when you start to rob yourself of play and competition and fun like that, it's really, I don't know, I feel badly for people who don't still have some source of fun or play in their life. And it, even if it's just, once or twice a week for a little bit, it matters. And it's special time that should be made for that, whatever that is.
Yeah, I agree. And just psychologically, when we are, what you said about your mother and on her feet all day, but exercise and working out, strength training, resistance training, that's different because you're using different muscles. And when we use different muscles, we're activating different parts of our brain. And so our brain will get very much in a rut. And as entrepreneurs, that's one of the worst things that can happen to us because we will lose our ability to problem solve effectively. So getting out and playing and doing fun things, moving our bodies in different ways, and challenging ourselves physically in different ways helps us be better thinkers, more creative problem solvers in the workplace. And just to share an example, at our breakthroughs retreats, we do walking masterminds and we give people a powerful question and they go off in pairs and they talk and walk. And the ideas start flowing just because movement is happening. We're not sitting. The other piece that I'm really curious about that kind of was alarming to me is the decline in strength that starts to happen in the 40s and flexibility. So for me, one of my shockers was when I was in my 30s, I did a lot of yoga. Then I got busy with kids and whatever, and started going back to yoga class a year or two ago. And I thought I was doing good, but I looked around me and there were women and men who were 20 years older than me who could do poses I couldn't even get into and hold anymore. And I used to be able to do that. And I thought, wow, that's a big change. But all along, I've been doing my 10,000 steps every day and been active. But because I hadn't worked in that particular, doing yoga for that period of time, there was a lot of loss of functioning. And I noticed a loss of strength too. So talk to us about what's going on there.
Yeah, it's the old concept. It's funny because I podcasted just recently and this same topic came up of the mantra, you don't use it, you lose it. And it's some of the truest, simplistic kind of advice or that anyone could say, because our ability to do anything physically or mentally, I mean, if you don't use a second language, you will lose the capacity to probably speak in that language. Things get fuzzy and you don't remember words and you don't remember how to put a sentence together if you're not, speaking in it on a regular basis. I mean, I took Spanish in high school. I did a trip. I was getting pretty good at it. When I was in Puerto Rico for 2 weeks in sophomore year of high school, I was living with a family and had to speak Spanish in the home. And I was really like, wow, look how much better I'm getting in just a couple of weeks having to speak it regularly. I mean, now I know words, but I can't speak like I did back then because I didn't use it. I didn't utilize that skill set. And our bodies are very much the same way. Your point about the yoga, you can do something pretty well if you're putting in the time and the effort. But once you go away from it, you see decline in that ability. And so it doesn't mean that forever you need to maintain like a super high attachment to things. I mean, the number one thing I tell people is you got to really like what it is that you're doing for activity or exercise in order to stick with it. It's like a diet, an elimination diet or an extreme diet of any kind. They don't work because they're temporary. And they might work to get ready to look good for a wedding or something, or a special event that you're going to and you want to drop some pounds to fit into an outfit. And if that's why you're doing it, then sure, fine, go for it. But if you're looking for longevity, you need to stick with something that is very realistic and has a level of enjoyment to it, or at least not something that's terribly challenging to cling to for the long term. And that's why people yo-yo up and down with their weight and stuff, because they just kind of go from one way of eating or one way of exercising to something else. They don't truly love it. They're kind of forcing themselves at it. And so I would just say whatever that one activity is, it could be hiking or playing tennis or swimming or working out with minimal equipment or body weight in your garage or living room. It doesn't really matter what it is. Do it regularly. Do it consistently. Try to do it daily if you can. Only the most advanced or extreme people are at risk of overtraining or overdoing it. Most of us are way underperforming.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. Most of us are just not doing enough. I mean, you go back just a century or so. I mean, people were just way more active in their lives because they had to be. With technology and the way the world is designed today and sitting in we go from, there's a funny comedian, I don't know if it's Jerry Seinfeld, it goes from, you go from your bed to like your dining room chair to like your sofa, to your chair in your car, the seat in your car, to the seat at your desk, back into the seat at your car, back into your dining room chair, back into the sofa, and back into your bed. You know what I mean? So it's like, when are you actually moving?
Yeah. Yeah.
Just these little tidbits of time throughout your day. Most of us, not all of us, but there's always exceptions. Look at me. I'm sitting on a podcast. I'm a VP of content for a fitness and health publishing company. And yet here I sit 8-10 hours a day. I sit in my car, but I do like to think I make up for it with the fact that I have a gym right outside this door over here that's 4,000 square feet and it's private and it's our facility and I utilize it. And I'm active with my kids and I coach baseball and I play with my dogs and so I try hard and earnestly to do whatever I can. And because for me, movement is play. It is fun. It is something I long to do. We go for walks around the building sometimes because a lot of us have the same feelings. We just need to get up and move more. And so I just encourage people, start small. If it just means getting up and walking around the building where you work at lunchtime, do it. Do 2 laps. If the weather's not good, then, maybe come up with something else that you can do in your office space, with just body weight, some type of activity where you get upright and vertical and can move around a little bit. But the simple act of walking outdoors has so many health benefits and mental benefits. I can make a list of 100 things.
Well, and I love that idea of starting small. True confessions. I mean, you had a very active childhood, very athletic. I failed the president's test of physical fitness. Like, I was not active. And when I was in college, in order to graduate, I had to take a PE class. So I signed up for jogging and walking for fitness. And I wanted an A in that class. And in order to get an A, I had to complete a certain number of miles in a certain time period, which you couldn't walk that and complete it. So I had to jog. And so it just upped my level of physical activity. And that became a habit. So it was a very small step. But I have walked consistently now for 30 something years. And I think in terms of what we're talking about sitting, a few years ago, I decided to get a standing desk. And that was okay, but that was a little boring to just stand. So then I started thinking, well, what about one of those treadmills? So then I got a treadmill. And so now I vary things between a stool, sitting and standing, walking. And our team, I've seen several members of our team getting their standing desks and their treadmills, and because we're on Zoom and sitting at desks all day long. So I'm really proud of our team members who are, thinking about that for themselves too. But we at Tap the Potential, we talk a lot in terms of business and dealing with business issues with respect to the small steps forward, taken in a consistent direction, lead to big change over time. So I really love what you're sharing about, hey, just do something. Find something that you like and that you can stick with and just start. And talk to me about gym shame. Like, if we haven't been in the gym for a while and we're going back. So for me, it was really intimidating because I don't know how to use any of the equipment. And so I got a personal trainer to teach me how to use the equipment, but it was overwhelming as somebody who'd never been very active in a gym to even walk in and know what to do with the equipment. So what are some ways we can deal with that?
Yeah. Well, good for you for sometimes people knock like, oh, the trainers are, don't know what they're doing or don't know what they're talking about. Or I would say at least get one session with who you ask for, say, I want the best trainer here for at least one session, just to give me kind of a full tour. So, or going over what are the 10 pieces of equipment I should know how to use. And sometimes those are free, sometimes some type of orientation with somebody or at a discounted rate at any place where you work out. But I would say people, number one, need to just kind of get over themselves a little bit, because most people I don't mean this to sound harsh, don't care about you. They're way too interested in themselves and way too concerned about themselves. And I think we, as kind of everyday men and women, we walk into a place, we already feel kind of out of sorts. We don't know where to go, what to do. And then we think everyone's looking at us or something. No one knows you're there. No one's looking at you. No one cares that you're there. Again, I'm not trying to say it to be mean. It's everyone's so kind of self-absorbed that they are not paying any attention to you. So drop that fear. Just, it doesn't exist. It shouldn't even have it. And secondly, as I said, just get with somebody. And again, start with basics. I mean, just aside from the machines, it's like go over to where every gym nowadays seems to have like an open area where you can just do some body weight stuff or mess around with a medicine ball or pick up, just a couple of small items, like maybe a sandbag and like something else that you can pick up and carry or, do lunges with or press it over your head. And all you have to do is watch some YouTube videos. By the way, we have a huge YouTube channel. We don't have every fitness or workout video on YouTube, but we have a lot. Between our 3 YouTube channels, we have over 5,000 videos, and over 4,000 of them are all workout exercise related. So it's a great resource, Critical Bench. Just type it into YouTube and you can learn pretty much how to do any exercise that you can conceive of with dumbbells or body weight or barbell or name your piece of equipment. It's a great resource for people. So you could go in with your phone and just kind of scroll through our channel and then find stuff that you want to do and learn that way. That's another option, a virtual trainer, if you will.
I love that. I do that at the gym. I bring my phone and I look at, okay, this is how you do it. And I look at the form because I don't want to be injured. But what you said just put me right at ease that, I'm not really at risk for injuring myself. I'm probably underperforming. So. Okay. Yeah. But I'll still pay attention to that. But you mentioned at the beginning when you and I were talking before we came on the air about the 5-minute workouts. So tell us about those.
Yeah. We have a lot of workouts on our channel that are time-based, 5-minute, 10-minute, 15, 20, kind of pick your poison there. But we just recently updated, and I moved the playlist towards the top of the homepage on our Critical Bench YouTube channel. It's a 5-minute workouts, and I'm just going to, because what do we name it? Fit in 5. 5-minute workout sessions. And it's right up towards the top of the homepage, right under our shorts, the short video content. And it's a series, and I'll name, there's 8 of them that I'm highlighting and featuring in this playlist. And they're great because you can download a PDF with the workout free. You download either it's a fully written out, like 20-page PDF with lots of information in it, or it might be as simple as just like a workout sheet, something that's pretty general with maybe that's 2 to 3 pages long that scripts out the workout for you. But the video itself is like follow along style. So you do it with the coach in the video with like a timer. So there's a 5-minute dumbbell workout for women. There's a 5-minute core workout. There's a 5-minute dumbbell workout for men, a 5-minute glute workout for all those people that want to hit the booty a little bit, a 5-minute fat loss workout, it's all body weight, 5-minute mini band workout, and you can get a free set of mini bands if you click into that video. Yeah, there's a 5-minute yoga warrior flow with our coach, Zach, who's a amazing yoga instructor, and a 5-minute thigh workout. So kind of like whatever your trouble spot is or whatever you're interested in, you could just rotate through these great 5-minute workouts, and they're a great resource. You can come back to them whenever you want. They're really designed for the beginner level person just to kind of get going. And that's really all it takes. If you just did these workouts daily, 5 minutes, I mean, so you add in some preparation time and whatever else. So maybe you're putting 10 minutes of actual time into this. I mean, you can't ask for more than that. And then there's no excuse at that point. Oh, I didn't have enough time. You didn't have enough time to do a 5-minute workout? Come on. And if you want to do more, do the routine 2 times or 3 times through, as the coach will tell you. If you want more, you want to keep going, let's go, go again. They're great. And they're really for this person that we're talking to, Dr. Sabrina, who has not made physical activity or physical fitness a priority in their life. But we are better for everyone else in our life when we give ourselves a little something. We have more energy for other people.
Absolutely. And I see it in our clients and I love this, when they join our Better Business, Better Life program, they really want to have a better life, and they become more interested in areas of their life that they've neglected. And when they start being more physically active, the energy goes up. Then they start getting interested in nutrition and eating healthier. And it's just a positive snowball effect. So I really appreciate you being with us, Chris, and sharing this information with our audience. And I want to say to those of you listening, make sure that you are subscribed to the Profit by Design podcast so you don't miss any episodes. Next week, our lead strategist, Melissa Swire, is joining me on the podcast. We're going to go behind the scenes at Tap the Potential. And if you've ever thought about what it would be like to interview your top clients and what you might hear, like the good and the bad, and what to do with critical feedback that you receive, we're going to share our experience in doing that with our top clients at Tap the Potential, what we learned and how we deal with the critical feedback that we've heard. So join us next week, Profit by Design podcast. And again, thank you for being here with us today, Chris. And I challenge all of you listening to go do 1 5-minute workout. One small step forward. So head on over to Critical Bench, find those 5-minute workouts.
Thank you so much. Real pleasure.
Thank you for spending time with me today. Join me in our Tap the Potential Mighty Networks community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Isn't it time you take your life back? And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this.